When silence breaks, Admiral Krix Vorthak's scaled fingers drummed against the command console of the Hegemony Dreadnought Dominion's edge. His yellow eyes studied the sensor readings with growing confusion. 3 days ago, his long-range scouts had detected an energy signature in the Kepler void, a region of space the Galactic Hegemony had written off as strategically worthless. Now, as his fleet approached the coordinates, the readings made no sense. "Report," Krix commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered 17 star systems for the Hegemony. Lieutenant Vex, a young Saurian with bright green scales, looked up from her station. "Admiral, we're detecting a structure approximately 2 kilometers in length. Initial scans suggest it's of human origin, but it appears to be abandoned. No energy signatures, no communications, no life signs." Krix's tail twitched with interest. Humans were a curiosity. In the galaxy, a species the Hegemony had largely ignored. They had spread to perhaps 50 worlds in the past century, building small colonies and research stations. Hardly a threat to an empire that controlled over 3,000 systems. Still, human artifacts occasionally yielded interesting technology, even if it was primitive by Hegemony standards. "Prepare a boarding party," Krix ordered. "I want a full investigation. If the humans have been conducting research out here, we need to know what they were working on." The shuttle bay of the Dominion's edge buzzed with activity as Krix prepared to lead the boarding party personally. His tactical officer, Major Zorith, approached with a concerned expression. "Admiral, is it wise for you to board personally? We know little about human defensive systems." Krix's laugh was a deep rumble. "Major, we're talking about humans. Their most advanced warship couldn't scratch the paint on our escorts. I think I can handle whatever booby traps they might have left behind." The shuttle ride to the human structure gave Krix time to study the exterior through the viewports. The station was clearly human in design, with those characteristic angular lines and practical construction that marked their engineering philosophy. Nothing fancy, nothing elegant, just functional. It was exactly what he expected from a species that still used combustion engines on many of their worlds. As they approached the docking port, Krix noticed something odd. The structure was massive, much larger than any human installation he'd seen in intelligence reports. But still, it showed no signs of activity, no energy readings, nothing to suggest it was anything more than an abandoned research facility. The docking was smooth, and Krix's team of 12 armed Saurians moved through. The airlock with practiced efficiency, the interior of the station was dark, their helmet lights creating dancing shadows on the metal walls. The air was breathable, which was curious for an abandoned facility, but not unprecedented. "Spread out," Krix ordered. "Full sensor sweep. I want to know what the humans were doing here." As his team moved deeper into the facility, Krix began to realize that his initial assessment had been wrong. The corridors were too wide, the ceiling too high. This wasn't built for humans alone. The scale was all wrong for a simple research. Station Corporal Thex's voice crackled through the comm. "Admiral, you need to see this. I'm in what appears to be a construction bay, and it's enormous." Krix made his way to Thex's position, following the corridor as it opened into a vast chamber. His breath caught in his throat. The space was huge, easily large enough to house one of their heavy cruisers. But it wasn't empty. Massive construction, arms hung from the ceiling, and the floor was covered with manufacturing equipment on a scale he'd never seen before. "This isn't a research station," he muttered. "This is a shipyard." As if triggered by his words, lights began to flicker on throughout the chamber. Emergency lighting strips illuminated walkways and work areas. In the distance, Krix could hear the hum of machinery coming online. "Sir," Thex called out, his voice tight with alarm. "Something's happening." A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, and suddenly Krix found himself looking at a human. She was middle-aged, with graying hair pulled back, in a practical ponytail and wearing what appeared to be an engineering uniform. Her dark eyes were alert and intelligent, and she was smiling. "Welcome aboard Shipyard Delta 7, the human said in accented Galactic standard. "I am Dr. Elena Vasquez, Chief Engineer and Facility Coordinator. I apologize for the dramatic entrance, but we weren't expecting visitors." Crix's hand moved instinctively to his sidearm. You're alive. Our scans showed no life signs. Your scans are quite good, Elena replied, her smile widening. But not good enough to penetrate our shielding. We've been watching your fleet since you entered the system. Very impressive ships, by the way. The hegemony certainly knows how to build a dreadnought. Impossible, Major Zorth whispered. No human technology can block our sensors. Elena's expression turned thoughtful. You know, that's exactly what we were counting on. For the past 30 years, the galaxy has seen humans as a minor species. Primitive, harmless. We've been very careful to maintain that impression. Crix felt a chill run down his spine. What are you saying? I'm saying, Admiral Crix Vorthak of the Hegemony Third Fleet, that you've stumbled upon something you weren't supposed to see. This facility has been operational for 23 years. It's one of our newer yards, actually. The hologram gestured and the lights in the chamber brightened further. Crix could now see the true scale of the facility. Construction berths stretched away into the distance, each one large enough to build ships that dwarfed anything in his fleet. Half-completed hulls hung in several of the berths, their design unlike anything he'd seen before. One of? Crix's voice was barely a whisper. Oh yes, Elena said cheerfully. This is Shipyard Delta 7. We have facilities Alpha through Omega, with numbers running into the hundreds. Some are mobile, some are hidden in asteroid fields, some are built into moons. We've been quite busy. Crix's tactical training took over. This is an act of war. Secret military construction, concealed installations, deliberate deception of galactic powers. Elena's expression grew serious. Admiral, I want you to understand something. Humanity has never initiated conflict with any species. We've been content to develop our small corner of the galaxy in peace. But we're not naive. We've watched the hegemony expand, consuming species after species. We've seen what happens to worlds that can't defend themselves. She paused, and when she continued, her voice carried a weight that made Crix's scales itch. We decided long ago that we would never be helpless. We would never be conquered. We would build until we were strong enough to stand on equal terms with any power in the galaxy. The hologram gestured again and new displays appeared throughout the chamber. Technical specifications, construction schedules, fleet compositions. The numbers were staggering. In the past 50 years, while the galaxy saw humans struggling with basic interstellar travel, we built infrastructure. We established mining, operations in dead systems. We developed new technologies in secret. We prepared. Crix stared at the displays, his military mind automatically calculating the implications. If even half of what he was seeing was accurate, the human fleet would outnumber the entire hegemony navy. Why, he asked. Why reveal this to us now? Elena's smile returned, but it was different now, harder. Because, Admiral, your fleet discovered us. Our stealth isn't perfect, especially when we're in active construction mode. You were going to find this facility whether we wanted you to, or not. The question now is what we do about it. Major Zorth stepped forward, his weapon half drawn. Admiral, we should return to the ship immediately and report this to High Command. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Elena said calmly. Major Zorth, isn't it? Former commander of the 12th Assault Legion, impressive service record. You were at the conquest of Meridian Prime, weren't you? Zorth's eyes widened. How do you know that? We know quite a lot about the hegemony military structure. It pays to study potential threats. But Major, before you make any hasty decisions, you should know that your fleet is currently surrounded. Crix's comm unit crackled to life. It was Captain Nerex from the Dominion's Edge. Admiral, we have a problem. Long-range sensors are detecting multiple contacts approaching our position. Large contacts. They're not on any of our identification systems. Elena nodded. That would be Commander Chen's task force. 24 heavy cruisers, 12 dreadnoughts, and 6 of our new Titan-class battleships. They've been shadowing your fleet since you entered the system. The blood drained from Crix's face. A force that size could obliterate his entire fleet, without breaking formation. But please don't panic, Elena continued. They're not here to attack. They're here to ensure that our conversation proceeds smoothly. You see, Admiral, we're at a crossroads. You've discovered our secret, and now we have to decide what happens next. You're threatening the hegemony, Crick said, though his voice lacked conviction. No, Elena replied firmly. We're offering the hegemony a choice. For too long, this galaxy has been governed by the principle that might makes right. Species are conquered, enslaved, or absorbed. But what if there was another way? What if there was a power strong enough to enforce peace rather than conquest? The hologram moved, closer to Crick's, and he could see the sincerity in Elena's eyes. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy, Admiral. We want to live in it peacefully. But we've learned that peace requires strength. So we built strength. Enough strength to make the cost of aggression too high for anyone to consider. The High Chancellor will never accept this, Crick said. The hegemony has ruled this galaxy for over 1,000 years, and they can continue to rule their territory, Elena replied. But the age of unlimited expansion is over. The galaxy is big enough for all of us, Admiral. The question is whether the hegemony is wise enough to see that. She gestured one final time, and the holographic displays changed. Now they showed star maps with human installations marked throughout the galaxy. Hundreds of them, thousands. This is what we've built, Admiral, not in secret but quietly, patiently. While the galaxy looked elsewhere, humanity prepared for the future. A future where species coexist rather than conquer. Crix stared at the displays, his worldview crumbling. Everything the hegemony believed about human capabilities was wrong. Catastrophically wrong. What do you want from me? He asked. Elena's expression softened. I want you to go back to the High Chancellor with a message. Tell him that humanity is ready to take its place among the great powers of the galaxy. Tell him that we're offering partnership, not conquest. But also tell him that the days of easy expansion are over. She paused, and when she continued, her voice carried the weight of an entire species' determination. Tell him that humanity has awakened, Admiral, and we will never sleep again. Beyond all calculations, the silence in Shipyard Delta 7 stretched for several heartbeats as Admiral Crix processed Elena's words. Around him, his boarding party stood frozen, their weapons useless against the revelation that had just shattered their understanding of galactic power. Show me, Crix said finally, his voice hoarse. If you want me to believe what you're claiming, show me the truth. Elena nodded, her holographic form flickering slightly as she adjusted the projection. Very well, Admiral, but I warn you, some knowledge changes the one who possesses it. Are you prepared for that? Without waiting for an answer, Elena gestured, and the chamber around them began to transform. The lights dimmed, and the walls became transparent, revealing the true scope of the facility. Crix gasped as he saw construction bays stretching away in all directions, each one busy with activity. Automated systems moved with precision, assembling ship components that defied his understanding of engineering principles. What you see here represents 30 years of human determination, Elena said, her voice echoing slightly in the vast space. When humanity first reached the stars, we were naive. We thought the galaxy would welcome us as partners. We learned better quickly. The holographic display shifted, showing star charts with human colonies marked in red. Many of those markers were crossed out. 17 human colonies were destroyed or absorbed by various galactic powers in our first 20 years among the stars. The hegemony alone consumed 3 of our worlds. We realized then that peaceful intentions meant nothing without the strength to defend them. Crix watched as the display showed human expansion patterns. Instead of the random spread he expected, there was a clear strategy. Humans had deliberately chosen systems that appeared worthless, hiding their true activities behind a facade of struggling colonists. We made a decision, Elena continued. If the galaxy insisted on measuring worth by military strength, then we would build strength beyond their wildest calculations. But we would do it quietly, patiently, and with a purpose they wouldn't understand, until it was too late to stop us. A new figure materialized beside Elena, this one clearly a hologram of a human male in military dress. He was tall, dark-skinned, with gray streaks in his hair and eyes that spoke of long experience in command. "Admiral Crix," Elena said, "may I present Commander Marcus Chen, coordinator of the Human Defense Initiative." Marcus stepped forward with the bearing of a career military officer. "Admiral, I understand this must be difficult to accept. 3 hours ago you believed humanity posed no threat to the hegemony. Now you're learning that we've built a fleet that could challenge your entire empire." "Impossible," Major Zoreth muttered. "No species could hide construction on this scale." Marcus smiled grimly. "Major, you're thinking like a hegemony officer. You assume that military construction must be obvious, centralized, easily detected. But humans learn to think differently. We built in systems you considered worthless. We used resources you ignored. We developed techniques you never imagined." The display around them shifted again, showing detailed schematics of human ship designs. Crix's tactical training automatically began analyzing what he saw, and what he found made his blood run cold. These weren't primitive human vessels. They were sophisticated warships that incorporated technologies he'd never seen before. "Your stealth systems," Crix said, his voice tight. "How long have you been able to hide from our sensors?" 37 years, Elena replied casually. "We developed the basic technology shortly after the Rigel colony incident. You remember that? When the hegemony claimed our mining station was a military installation and destroyed it along with 3,000 civilians. Crix did remember. It had been classified as a minor police action, barely worth mentioning in the official reports. We decided that day that we would never again be helpless," Marcus added. "But we also decided that we wouldn't become what we opposed. We wouldn't conquer. We wouldn't destroy civilian populations. We would build strength for defense, not aggression." A third hologram materialized, this one distinctly non-human in appearance. It was geometric, shifting patterns of light that somehow conveyed intelligence and awareness. "Admiral Crix," the new presence said in a voice that was clearly artificial but somehow warm. "I am Zephyr 9, coordinator of human industrial systems. May I demonstrate something that I believe will interest you?" Before Crix could respond, the entire chamber filled with activity. Construction arms that had been motionless suddenly sprang to life, moving with impossible coordination. Automated systems began assembling ship components at a speed that defied physics. In the span of minutes, Crix watched as a complete frigate-sized vessel took shape in one of the construction berths. "How?" he whispered. "Human-AI cooperation," Elena explained. "While the galaxy feared artificial intelligence and passed laws restricting its development, we embraced it. We built partnerships with AI entities, creating a symbiosis that multiplies our capabilities exponentially." Zephyr 9's form pulsed with what might have been pride. "Humans gave us purpose, Admiral. They treated us as partners, not tools. In return, we helped them build, design, and coordinate on a scale that no organic species could achieve alone." The completed frigate powered up, its engines glowing with a soft blue light. Crix realized with shock that the entire construction process had taken less than 20 minutes. "That's a 5th-generation human frigate," Marcus said, noting Crix's expression. "Combat-capable, fully autonomous if needed, and powered by technologies that we've been developing in secret for decades. We can build 6 of them per day from this facility alone." "How many facilities?" Crix asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. Elena's expression grew serious. 347 operational shipyards, Admiral. Another 63 under construction. We've been building for 30 years, remember? Did you think we were idle?" The numbers hit Crix like a physical blow. Even if each facility was a fraction as capable as what he was seeing, the implications were staggering. The human fleet had to number in the hundreds of thousands of vessels. "You could conquer the galaxy," he said quietly. "Yes," Marcus replied, simply. "We could, but we won't. That's what makes us different from the hegemony, Admiral. We build strength to protect, not to dominate." Elena stepped closer to Crix, her holographic form seeming almost solid in the chamber's lighting. "This is why I wanted you to see this, Admiral. We could have destroyed your fleet the moment it entered this system. We could have done it without you ever knowing what hit you. But we didn't. Instead, we revealed ourselves. We're offering the hegemony a choice." "What choice?" Crix asked, though part of him already knew. "Evolution," Elena said simply. "The galaxy stands at a crossroads. We can continue the cycle of conquest and domination that has governed interstellar relations for millennia, or we can choose a different path, a path where strength serves peace, where diversity is celebrated rather than eliminated, where species work together rather than preying on each other." Marcus activated a new display, showing current galactic political boundaries. "The hegemony controls nearly 3,000 systems, Admiral. We're not asking you to give up a single one. We're asking you to be satisfied with what you have, to stop expanding, to start cooperating." "And if we refuse?" Crix asked. The chamber fell silent. When Elena spoke again, her voice carried a weight that made Crix's scales prickle. "Then the galaxy will learn what humanity is truly capable of, Admiral. We've spent 30 years preparing for that possibility. We pray it never comes to pass, but we're ready if it does." Zephyr 9's form pulsed and new displays appeared showing human fleet positions throughout the galaxy. They were everywhere, Crix realized. In systems the hegemony had written off as empty, in regions they'd considered secure, hidden bases, and mobile shipyards that had been operating under their noses for decades. "We know about Operation Crimson Tide," Marcus said quietly. "The hegemony's plan to annex the Centauri Federation next year. We know about the military buildup at Rigel Base. We know about the new Dreadnought class being constructed at the Titan yards." Crix felt the floor drop out from under him. Those were classified operations known only to the highest levels of hegemony command. "How long?" he whispered. "How long have we been watching?" Elena asked. "Since the beginning, Admiral. Since the day we decided that we would never again be caught unprepared. We've studied the hegemony longer than you've studied us. We know your strengths, your weaknesses, your plans, your fears." She paused, letting that sink in. "But we've used that knowledge to prepare for defense, not conquest. When hegemony forces approach human space, we're ready. When your intelligence services try to infiltrate our colonies, we're waiting. When your diplomats offer us protection from galactic threats, we smile and nod, while our hidden fleets ensure that protection is unnecessary." The reality of the situation finally hit Crix with full force. The hegemony hadn't been ignoring a minor species. They'd been unknowingly locked in a Cold War with a power that had been preparing for conflict while appearing helpless. "Why reveal this now?" he asked. "You could have remained hidden for decades more." Elena's expression grew sad. "Because hiding becomes harder each year, Admiral. Our industrial capacity has grown beyond our ability to completely conceal it. More importantly, the galaxy is changing. The hegemony is planning its most aggressive expansion in centuries. Other powers are building their own fleets. War is coming whether we want it or not. So we've decided to step into the light," Marcus added, "to offer the galaxy a third option. Not hegemony conquest, not chaotic warfare, but cooperation enforced by overwhelming defensive capability." Zephyr 9's form shifted, displaying images of human worlds. Not the struggling colonies that hegemony intelligence reported, but thriving planets with cities that rivaled anything in the galaxy. "We've built more than just warships, Admiral," the AI said. "We've built a civilization based on cooperation between species, between organic and artificial intelligence, between different ways of thinking. It works. We've proven it works." Crix looked around the chamber one more time, trying to process everything he'd seen. The scale of human preparation was beyond anything he'd imagined possible. But more than that, their philosophy challenged everything the hegemony believed about power and expansion. "What message do you want me to carry back?" he asked finally. Elena stepped forward, her expression earnest. "Tell High Chancellor Theron that humanity requests a formal meeting. Tell him that we're prepared to guarantee the security of existing hegemony territories in exchange for an end to expansion into neutral space. Tell him that we're offering partnership, not surrender. And if he refuses? Marcus and Elena exchanged glances. When Marcus spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to making life-and-death decisions. Then tell him that humanity will enforce peace in this galaxy, with or without hegemony cooperation. We've spent 30 years preparing for that possibility, Admiral. We hope it won't be necessary, but we're ready. Elena gestured, and the chamber began to dim. Your shuttle is prepared for departure, Admiral. Your fleet will be escorted to the edge of human space by Commander Chen's task force. Consider it a demonstration of our capability and our restraint. As the holographic displays faded, Crix found himself face to face with the truth that would reshape galactic politics. Humanity hadn't just built fleets beyond all expectation. They'd built a future beyond all imagination. The age of easy conquest was over. The galaxy's greatest predators had just learned that their prey had become apex predators themselves, and they were offering the galaxy a choice: evolve or face the consequences of humanity's patient, inexorable preparation for the war they'd hoped never to fight. As Crix led his stunned boarding party back to their shuttle, one thought echoed in his mind: the galaxy would never be the same again.